Hi everyone, it's Bren from Vernie Arts, and I'm back again making another tutorial for you guys. I've been reading all your comments on my previous videos and also the messages you sent me on Instagram, and a few of you that follow me on Twitter. So one of the top requested videos was for me to make a more detailed video on how I sketch eyes. So that's what today's tutorial will be about. Okay, let's begin. Even though I'm just going to be drawing eyes today, I still need to draw some sort of reference or guideline to know exactly where I'm going to be placing the eyes. Okay, so you're going to start by drawing a basic shape of a head, and we're going to focus on, obviously, where the eyes are going to go. So we're going to draw a horizontal line across the face. This is where you're going to be drawing the eyes. And then to make sure your eyes are symmetrical on both sides, just draw a straight line down the middle, going vertically. Okay. Once you have your guideline layer done, we're going to go ahead and dim the opacity a little bit, just so that way you can still see it, but it's not going to be very visible. And you're going to make a new layer. And if you prefer, you can go ahead and change the color of your pencil. And this is just going to help you differentiate between your guideline layer and your actual eye sketch layer. When I first started drawing eyes, I made sure I drew guidelines to make sure that the eyes I'm drawing are going to be exactly the same on both sides, because you don't want one a little too much to the right and the other one being a little too much to the left, or vice versa. Okay, so then we're just gonna make a curved line like this. And you're gonna do the same in the bottom, but it's not gonna be as curvy as the top one. Like this. And you're gonna repeat the same step on the other side, making sure they look pretty even to each other. And again, this tutorial can be used both in digital and traditional art. Since I'm only using the sketching pencil, I'm not going to be using anything else but just that. Okay, now that I'm done, I'm just checking to make sure they look exactly the same or close to the same. And I'm going to dim that layer and add a new one. And on this layer, we're only fixing the eye a little bit more. We're gonna make the shape a little bit more cleaner, so that way it looks like an actual eye. We are gonna go ahead and create a waterline. And this is super simple. All you're gonna do is make a kind of like a U shape, like you see here. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, so that way I can see they look exactly the same. Go back to my first one and basically just trace what you have at the bottom, but make it a little bit darker and cleaner. Like that. And again, just repeat the same exact thing, but on the other side. And again, just make sure you're checking that they look proportionate to each other. I don't usually have these many layers when I sketch, it's usually just one. But if you're a beginner, I think having these many layers can help you out, because if you make a mistake, you can actually go back to the layer, erase the layer, and just start where you wanted to pick up from. Obviously, this only works digitally, but if you want to work with only one layer, like traditional artists would, that's perfectly fine. That's how most people do it. But for the purposes of this video, it makes it easier just to go back and forth and do it this way. Okay, so on this new layer, you're gonna use it to draw the pupils. Now this doesn't have to be super clean, it's just a rough sketch. You're gonna clean this up a little bit later on. And this layer, you're just making sure you're getting that circular shape, and the most important part, making sure they're symmetrical. Because again, you don't want one eye looking left and the other one looking right. It's just not gonna look right. Okay, so I think they look pretty close. So once you're done with that, on the next layer we are going to add the creases of the eyes. So this is where things vary a little bit. Most people draw almond-shaped eyes, but there is several different kinds. We have hooded eyes, deep eyes, I think there's called like sleepy eyes. There's different kinds. Something as simple as the crease of the eyes can really make a difference on making your character look a little bit different from your last. But let me show you real quick some different types of eye shapes. For example, the hooded one would look a little bit like this. The crease would come very close to the top lid, and it would go down like this at the end. And in some occasions, you wouldn't even see the crease of the eyes on most hooded eyes. Okay, so that's the hooded eye. Then we can go ahead and do the round eye. So typically a round eye is just a more prominent crease, so it's gonna go all the way around like this. It's a little bit similar to the almond shape we're gonna be making, but you're gonna see the difference once we start. Okay, so that's gonna be the round or deep crease eye. The next one we're doing is gonna be called a sleepy crease eye. I don't make up the names, I just googled it. Okay, so this one you're gonna start very similar to the round eye, but near the middle of the eye, you're gonna go almost create like a slide kind of line. And that's what we call a sleepy crease eye. Okay, I hope that helped you guys a little bit. But now we're gonna go back to our actual eye sketch. And like I said before, we are gonna work on an almond-shaped eye, which is the one that's more commonly drawn. Okay, so we're gonna start the crease near the center of the eye. But instead of going all the way around, you're gonna make that line disappear and kind of merge into the end of the corner of the eye. And repeat the same steps for the other eye. And I'm just grabbing my eraser to make sure they both look pretty close to identical. There we go. Okay, so now that you have your actual eye shape and pupil, we can move on to details, which is my favorite part of drawing an eye. We can go and turn off a few of the layers that we don't need. Make a new layer, and if it helps you out, you can dim the other layers that you have below. So that way on the new layers that we're working on, we can clean the lines a little bit more. Okay, since obviously we're drawing a female eye, I usually like to draw my characters with heavy eyeliner. And this is just gonna depend on your style, but just make sure if you're not adding any eyeliner to clean up your top lid and just make it a little bit darker. So I'm just going back and forth to make sure that both of my eyes look almost the same. And erase any of the lines that don't need to be there. I'm just gonna darken up the bottom lid, but it's not gonna be as dark as the top. Repeat that on the other side. And next, I'm just gonna clean up the pupils a little bit, just make it more round on both sides. And after I'm done with that, we are gonna go and draw the iris on both eyes. Just make sure when you're drawing the iris that it's nice and dark and round as well. Try to place it as dead in the center of the pupil as you can. Otherwise, it just won't look good. Okay. So once you're happy with it, we can actually turn off the bottom layers and see how it looks. Or if you're working with a traditional pen and paper, you can go ahead and lightly erase the bottom lines you don't want anymore. Now, another option would be to add eyelashes to your eyelids, which I usually do, but not a lot. It just depends on the character I'm drawing. But eyelashes usually do tend to make the character look a little extra pretty. And on the bottom lids, I usually like to put maybe like 2 or 3 little eyelashes. I don't tend to like the look of putting full set of eyelashes on the bottom lid. I just don't think it looks right, but again, that's preference. That's up to you. If you like it, then go ahead and do it. Now you can add a little bit of a highlight to your eyes. This is usually the last step, but we're almost done, so I'm gonna go ahead and add them in. And I'm gonna change the color of the background so you can see it a little bit better. On a side note, if you're working digitally, when you're sketching, it's always good to work on an off-white background. It's actually a lot easier and better for your eyes when you're drawing. So, just a little tip. Alright, so I guess we can go ahead and shade the pupils a little bit. The shading is always going to be darker closer to the top lid because you have to think that it's creating almost like a shadow underneath. Now don't make the shadow super dark, it's very light, especially for a sketch. You just want to know once you start coloring where you're going to put your shading at. So let's turn off our guideline layer. And I'm just gonna grab a white color and just lightly shade the actual eyeball. And that's pretty much it. This is how I sketch my character's eyes. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want me to make a follow-up video on how I color eyes, I can also do that in the near future. But just let me know in the comments below if that's a video you'd like to see. Thanks again for watching my videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see. And like always, hope to see you guys very, very soon. Adios.